A reading from the first letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians. Brothers and sisters, I should like you to be free of all anxieties. An unmarried man is anxious about the things of the Lord, how he may please the Lord. But a married man is anxious about the things of the world, how he may please his wife, and he is divided. An unmarried woman or a virgin is anxious about the things of the Lord, so that she may be holy in both body and spirit. A married woman, on the other hand, is anxious about the things of the world, how she may please her husband. I am telling you this for your own benefit, not to impose a restraint upon you, but for the sake of propriety and adherence to the Lord without distraction. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Preach to a chapel of vowed celibates about the importance of staying single in order to be anxious only for the Lord. Not to mention this letter being written with the expectation of an imminent return of Christ, that Christ was coming soon, so there was no need to marry. Yet it is Scripture, it is holy, and there is something spiritual that we can get out of this passage. Yes, we are vowed celibates. Each of us has chosen to give up the good of marriage for the sake of focusing only on the Lord, for the sake of a higher love, in a sense, and a higher good, which stems from that higher love. However, have we truly given it up? Or have we simply transferred it? Yes, in its purest definition, we have given up marriage. We won't ever be with a one person for life, loving them exclusively and permanently for the rest of our lives, creating children through that love of other. However, are we married to our desires? Are we married to our hopes, our projects, our dreams? If we look at marriage as a permanent and exclusive relationship, then how do I live my life free of permanent and exclusive relationships? When I begin a project or a new ministry, do I do so knowing that someday I'll be moving on? That this itinerant life is such that I won't have this project forever? Do I do so knowing that someone is going to take over? And when that someone does take over, do I let them have free rein? Or do I guard this project as if it were my child, like an overprotective parent hovering over this new person in their new ministry? Do I let them take it where the Spirit will lead them to go? Am I married to my opinions? Or am I open to the opinions of others, the truth that may exist in those opinions? Am I married to what my generation has built up, afraid of what this new generation is going to come and change in this new time? Or am I married to my ideologies, holding on to them, knowing that these are it, these are what is permanent? For if all we've done is transferred marriage to some other form of permanent commitment, then how good is our witness? What is it worth sacrificing love of a single person, this high and good love, if all we're going to do is transfer that into love of something else, into ultimately love of self in a negative way? So, yes, okay, now I'm the perfect itinerant religious, perfectly detached, willing to let go of everything, focused and anxious only for the Lord. But then I come back to the first line of this reading. I should like you to be free of anxieties. Well, Paul, which one is it? Do you want me to be free of anxieties or anxious only for the things of the Lord? Because clearly it can't be both. If we look at anxiety and what anxiety truly is, I think we get our answer. Now, anxiety is something that stems from fear. When we act anxiously, we usually are acting in fear of losing something, something good that we possess or that we have in some way, we act in anxiety, motivated by fear of losing it. And fear, if it's not the opposite of love, is certainly contradictory to it. Love and fear cannot exist at the same time in the same way. Now, anyone who's been in a relationship with an anxious lover knows that these relationships are doomed to fail. In modern English, we call these clingy relationships. The lover is so concerned for the beloved, so anxious, that they're willing to do anything for the sake of that beloved. And at first it seems great. They're focused on me, everything is going fine. But eventually we realize that there's nothing behind this love, that the lover doesn't love me. They only love the idea of being in a relationship with me. In fact, they only love the idea of being in relationship, period. I don't matter because I'm not allowed to love back. Ultimately, love is a mutual relationship. It's a give and take that must be mutual if it is to exist truly as love. And this relationship with God, this love with God that we share, is something that is ever expanding, something that is as big as we let it be, because God is love. St. Augustine said in his homilies on the first epistle of John, "If nothing at all were said in the other pages of Scriptures, and this were the one and only thing that we heard from the voice of the Spirit of God, that God is love, we wouldn't have to look for anything else." Because contained within this statement, God is love, is the fullness of the Christian life. Our response to this love of God is our love of God. And if we do so anxiously, afraid of for somehow losing this love of God, if we do so in fear that we are not truly loving Him, we're holding back from being in love with God. If we're afraid to show Him our faults, our failings, afraid that doing so is going to somehow make us lose this love, then we're not allowing Him to return this love in mercy. And when we order our lives rightly, anything that we do love, anyone that we love, assuming that it is ordered correctly, both to our state in life and to this love of God, is in itself a love of God. Another key teaching of Augustine. That in loving creation, in loving what God has created, as long as we do so for the sake of loving God, we are truly loving God in doing so. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we need not care about our relationship with God, that we need not care about losing this relationship, or that we need not care about our own salvation. But all of these too are wrapped up in that love of God. And if we're focused on loving God, if we truly are living within this relationship of love, then all of these goods will stem from that relationship. For ultimately, our salvation is the fulfillment, the culmination of the love that we share with God, someday face to face in heaven. And when this love of God, this relationship is correct, all falls into place. We lose anxiety. We're focused on God in everything we do. Not only us as religious, but the married couple as well are focused on God and order their love of each other, their love of the goods that they hold on to, in love of God. It's a sentiment that I think the collect of this week picks up on quite well. Grant us, Lord, our God, that we may honor you with all our mind and love everyone in truth of heart. Or more simply, yet carefully stated by Augustine, love and do what you will.